Please comment, like,
share, and subscribe.
Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Spicy, tasty vegan cuisine. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and Mom and I were talking about being vegan, and our bodies were made for being vegan. 5,000 years ago, we ate no meat, ate no meat. And all the animals were part of our family. We communicated with them. Right. It may have been through feelings or telepathically, but now, would you blame them? Would you talk to somebody who ate your cousin, your brother, and your mama?
No words.
Now, we have an incident that happened to us. I was in the other house, and I was in the living room, and I looked up on the window, and it was covered with ants. But yet, they were communicating with me, saying it was okay, it was all right, we just passed. I was so excited. I figured after all these years of fasting, praying, meditating, I met it. I was back there, and I went and told my wife, Mama, Sarah, the ants are here, and she took one look, ran back in the kitchen, and I heard a bunch of noise. I had no idea. She was trying to get every weapon of mass destruction that she could get. Then when she came out, she sidestepped me like the old days O.J. Simpson did a jig, got past me, and got to the window, and just about all of the ants, they were gone, right, babe? So once again, when you start to doing what you're doing in terms of no meat, eating the things that support your body, the chromosomes will come together. And that means the aging process will slow down, retard, and even reverse. And you will connect to your higher self because your DNA will have been changed. And all of our DNA has been altered by those other folks so we could do the work then. But we can come into our own diet. No, let's call it intake.
A lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, this is what African Liberation Day.
African Liberation Day. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
I didn't know that either.
And the interesting thing about it, I don't remember celebrating it in the U.S.
Never heard of it.
We never heard of it. Juneteenth.
Juneteenth. Yes.
What else? Kwanzaa.
Kwanzaa. Yeah.
We had Black History Month.
Black History Month.
What else is
Martin
there?
Luther King.
Martin Luther King,
Yeah, Martin Luther King.
and Malcolm X.
Malcolm X.
You know, they
just
did like
recently-
celebrate Malcolm
19.
X. Yeah.
They just recently.
Yeah, that's new. Yeah.
Tulsa, not Tulsa. Was it Denver, Colorado? Celebrated the first Malcolm X Day last week.
Oh,
Wow, that was the first time.
First time.
Yeah, we celebrated in California for some time.
California's always been.
California's always
Yeah.
been out on front. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I used to be involved in putting on African Liberation Days in Oakland, California.
African Liberation Day, okay.
Right, but most of you know Oakland was a little more progressive than a lot of
Exactly.
Yeah.
We had the Black Panther Party that came in with their free lunch programs, and they were doing so many wonderful things.
Yeah, I was growing up in
But
San
we
Francisco.
know where the focus was because of the hybrid and reptilian types and their fear. But the bottom line, this is a time when all of truth is coming out, and we're embracing everybody because it's not about color, it's about consciousness.
Exactly. Yeah, and I'm actually from San Francisco, Oakland, across the bay. But San Francisco was more of an environment for people who had money. When my mother moved to San Francisco before I was born in 1954, so around 1952, and that was a time, my great aunts, they had some money. So the friends that came with her, they didn't have that much money. So they got off on the bus in Oakland, California, and our
And she
family
went on to
came
San
all the way to
Francisco.
San Francisco. And when I think about it, I'm really, really grateful that I was brought up in San Francisco, because San Francisco was an upper middle class environment. And I say this many times to some people some time ago, San Francisco is not only the city of San Francisco, it's the county.
Yeah, county. They got the daily. Daily
Yeah.
City.
Daily City,
Daily
all
City.
of that. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Daily City.
Yeah, I used to hang out at Hunters Point.
Hunters Point. Oh my God. to that
No,
part.
it was ex-slave.
Northern California.
Yeah, but most of my family members live in Oakland.
Oakland.
On the East Oakland, yes. On East
Oh,
Oakland.
East Oakland. Oh,
East Oakland,
wow.
yeah.
You do look like East Oakland type. I mean, it's there, you know,
Yeah,
and you are the younger version of what it was with Huey P. Newton.
Wow, yes.
And
I
of
can
those
see- I
times,
can
they were
see that.
really.
Radical.
I mean, they were,
militant.
and that was because our family, you know, as my mother, they were all coming from Arkansas, the South. They were trying to get away from the oppression.
Yeah,
And although it was, to me, my mother was more educated than myself coming out of high school because it was all black.
Yeah,
School.
different education system.
Yeah, so they really, it was targeted because they knew that you have to learn, you have to be better than everyone else to be able to achieve what you want.
What you want to achieve.
So when she came, when she came to San Francisco, she did go to business college because my mother went to Magnolia. No, not Magnolia, but Pine Bluff.
Pine Bluff,
University.
Pine Bluff.
She went there for a year or so.
Yeah, when he talks to South on
UAPB, that was the only black college in our state. of Arkansas,
Yes, that's right. And that was back in probably the 40s,
Yeah.
50s.
Yeah, HBCU, yo.
Yeah, so, but anyway, but San Francisco for me was really good because as a teenager, we could get away, me and my friends, with doing things that you couldn't do in Oakland or Los Angeles. Because San Francisco was set up, you know, just to deal with us black people that kind of had a little bit of money, wasn't going to go too far. Because they were bringing in these Jews. The European Jews was coming in. Because in 1967, that's when they had the gentrification. You know, they wanted us to move out, you know, get up, this house is old, you know, we want to tear them down. Why do you want to tear our places down? Why don't they, you know,
Fix them up, or let us fix them up.
yeah, you know, they can, what is the word for it, you know, renovate it or whatever.
Remodel.
Remodel.
They have what
They
we
didn't
call
want that.
teen health fix.
Yeah, but the thing of it is, what was interesting, since we had our parents got together, they said, no, we're gonna stay here. We can build our schools. We can. This is what we wanted. And these were the houses that the Japanese had before, but they put them in those
When they put them in
internment camps.
internment camps, yeah.
So the blacks felt like this was our chance to really
To
move
make a move.
ahead. Yeah. They didn't. What they did, one night we had all gone to bed around 1966. This was during the riots and things. We heard at 2 a.m. in the morning, boom, 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 and we didn't know what had happened. The windows had was blown into our house. Some of the ceiling came down, and so my father got up and he said, I don't know what the hell's going on. So he went outside, and we had a beauty shop downstairs. All the windows were blown out, and the house across the street was blown to bits. So someone said that there were 96 sticks of dynamite.
I was gonna say the white folks was clearing
They
this out.
did that, and then the next day, I remember on a Sunday, all the blacks, some of the houses down on that block, they had fires. And so we didn't have the fire, but our windows were all gone. And white folks was all in that neighborhood, just looking at us black children sitting on the steps, you know, didn't know what to think.
And they picking
And
out
these
their
white-
plots. Picking out their land.
And it wasn't long before they told us we had to move then. And my father said, well, I don't really want to move. And they said if he didn't, he would lose everything.
Yeah.
So they gave him an extra 5,000 more. And so I can say that even though, you know, they took that away from us, and after that, they tore all the houses down, and we thought maybe we can come back someday. They put projects in there
Well,
and filled them up with crack cocaine
Yep.
and freebasing. Just
Uh-huh.
that's
And
when it went
decimated
down.
it.
That was in the 70s. And I used to think, wow, what happened to our strength? We were supposed to be moving more and more farther
That's why they
ahead.
stopped it,
They stopped it.
as they always do.
And then later on to learn Huey P. Newton, you know, was assassinated, and it was just, yeah, it's and that's why I look at life like what we're going through now with this pandemic. In many ways, it's a difficult time for some people, but it's a blessing for a lot of us. And like a friend of ours, Dr. Apara, in Tanzania. He said, this is the time that we need to stay put and reflect on ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we just decided when we wanted to travel,
This is stop.
we're just not gonna travel now. We're just gonna stay here because I don't want them
And wait
getting,
it out.
sticking things in my nose. Or, yeah.
So if we look at this being African Liberation Day, what is your take on it in terms of, are we more liberated now? Are we less liberated? Or do we have a better view on where we should go?
Well, I asked one of the chefs today, and she said, well, I don't think we liberated. We're still under the white system. And she's 28 years old, said
Wow.
that.
And she knows it
And
already.
you know what? I think she's pretty much right.
Well,
So how many times are we gonna have this black liberation and we're not seeing ourselves as liberated together?
Yeah.
well, I think what you're doing in terms of nutrition and food is
Okay.
helping to liberate. Because
Yes.
you have to free your mind and then the other will follow.
Yeah.
So when you eat better, you're gonna think better, you'll make better life choices that are gonna affect your immediate family, your community, your tribe or
Yeah.
ethnic group, nation, and ultimately the world.
Trickle down. Yeah.
So in terms of liberation, I think what you're doing is raising the flag and raising the bar high. So I wanna congratulate you on what you've been doing to help so many of us.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank
I
you
would
so
definitely
much.
I would definitely agree because we got so many. I lost so many family members from health reasons.
Same here.
And I can remember my father telling me at my grandmother's funeral, he said, promise me you won't let yourself go. And so that would kind of like begin my journey of wanting to eat better, wanting to exercise, wanting to do right. And I can see him, he let himself go completely. But it's still hope for him, but he got to decide
Yeah,
if it's still hope for him.
that's true.
But knowing and seeing what you do helped me, motivates me to go more, you know?
Yeah.
And so it helps me, you know, because some days I'd be like, oh man, what should I eat? Because it's hard. It's kind of like, and being in America, they kind of got you, they designate you by zip code on what they gonna put in there for health wise and stuff like that.
That's
And
right.
so when you drive around the corner, I want to eat something healthy. You got only a McDonald's, a Burger King, a Subway, and stuff like that. And so my body be like, I do not want to eat this stuff, but I know my body needs something. But I don't have the time to go cook stuff like, go across town or something. So I have to settle for what's there. So that's how America got it designed. They got it designed. They're killing us in many different ways, but most of the way by the food we
It's
eat.
the food.
It's
Yes.
the food.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Well, with that, I think it's important we understand it's been systematically put in to try to either separate us
Yes.
or to destroy us individually.
Yes.
And as we talked before, if you look in terms of the things that we call hormonal they mess with your hormones.
Yes.
The fluoride, the atrazine, which is a herbicide sprayed on our food.
Remember I told you the one
You
that-
look
yeah.
at the geoengineering, they call it chemtrails, but geoengineering is something.
After 9 months to a year eating
That kind of food.
trash, you know, drinking alcohol, going to parties, staying up late so that I can lead a party, sleep a few hours, go to work, trying to study. Wasn't doing good that first year in studies either. I mean, I had to pretty much take a whole semester over. But because I got sick, that's when I said I didn't want to die. And the doctor told me, because I was working at the university, he said, you're going to need to eat the way your mother raised you. So that's what I did. I took soul food and made it vegan soul food.
And now you have two of the best sellers on the
Yep.
planet.
Spicy
Yeah.
taste.
One for people
Yeah.
of color and the other for the general public. You have your book translated into French, and soon you're going to have it into Arabic. Once again, we applaud you. We already know about the concoction that people are making to keep their immune system up and keep them away from all viruses
Yes, it
and
does.
whatever they call it. So I want to end this, but I just want you to know this is just the beginning, because as you touch other people, they touch others.
Yeah.
So thank you.
That's good. Thank you.
Yes, we applaud
And thank
you.
you, guests.
We applaud you.
Was that African Liberation Day.
Yes. Let's liberate our minds and bodies.
Exactly.
Chemically disrupted.
All those things coming down into the soil. And not to mention the water coming out of old leaden pipes, they're not dealing with distribution like we are, like Multipure. We're a distributor of that. And so you have women that have babies that may look like a boy, but they're inside a girl, and vice versa. And it's almost commonplace where a woman's gonna have a baby with both sexes. And in America, they usually cut off the penis because it's concentrated melanin. So that's where they use it for high-end, in other words, very expensive cosmetics. Takes the wrinkles out, makes you look good, okay? And they raise a little person, usually as a girl. That's why we have so many of them in America that look like they're professional linebackers, which brings us to the point of unconditional love. We've come full circle, no matter how it looks, so we can love each other unconditionally. And once we do that, then we become more whole, because once again, you cannot heal unless you forgive. And if you understand the plan, then you can either reconstruct yourself or be where you are, but at least you have the information.
Yeah. I didn't realize that about the, cutting off the penis and they do it with this, with all the aborted babies,
Oh,
and how they put it in the cosmetics and thank you. Someone said it, how we're taking in that aborted tissue
yes.
in different ways.
Yes.
That cannibalism.
Yes.
And we don't even realize it.
And
Because they're
that's-
putting it in the vaccines.
Yes,
And they're
they
putting
are.
it in this, and what does that do to us?
Yeah.
How does that affect
It's
our
changing our DNA.
How it
Yeah,
affects
exactly.
our
It's
DNA. And we don't
changing
even
it
realize
on some
it.
And when you look on the labels and you see flavoring and they don't tell you what it is, or you
What is
wonder how many people are really headed towards Soylent Green. They're eating people!
Many people.
Yeah, they eating, it's true. It's sad. But that's why we have to be very wise, and we have to not be followers. We have to realize, I find myself, I give people a lot of chances that most people would not. And I'm not trying to be a follower, but for some reason, I like to be patient with people, and it's the love. And I get hurt sometimes, because yesterday I was really hurt. I had someone to call me names. And I gave her, when she came, I prepared so many different things, like a stew. The stew was for her to detox. Because the food that we have, it's medicine. Like the stir fry, we put all the different spices. It's medicine. It's not just like going to a restaurant and you just eating food just to fill you up. I'm feeding you the food that has
Heal your
made
body.
me healthy, because I got sick at 19 with hepatitis B, working in the medical field. As I said, I went through the nursing, and it was meant for me to go through that nursing, because when I got into that field, I became a phlebotomist, a lab tech, assistant, and drawing a patient's blood.
And that happens all the time. You prick yourself.
Pricked myself, and within 3 or 4 days, I was diagnosed with hepatitis. Well, actually, it was like a week, because I had gone to the doctor. I was itching all over. And it wasn't just that stick. It was because I had left home and was eating hamburgers, French fries, anything, McDonald's. Because my body could take it, because I was raised eating pretty healthy because my mother didn't work.
Please comment, like,
Share and subscribe.
follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Spicy, tasty vegan cuisine. Yeah.